Hello and welcome to the Connection Audit. I'm Kirsten,
And I'm Blake.
where we take a clear-eyed look at modern relationships. What's changed, what's broken, and what actually helps people connect with respect. We'll explore ethical non-monogamy without the noise consent, boundaries, communication, and the emotional skills most of us were never taught.
And we'll share how the Blossom Society is building a safer, women or sovereign space where education comes before access. If you're done with chaos and ready for clarity, you're the right place.
So today we are setting the agenda around something incredibly visible but actually very rarely understood.
Yeah.
We're auditing the reality of how men present themselves on dating platforms.
Right.
Like specifically looking at their photo choices and profile setups.
Right, because the goal today is to really unpack what is actually happening when a profile goes live.
Exactly. Why do so many, well-intentioned choices completely miss the mark?
And more importantly, what actually works to build real trust from that very first glance.
Right.
And the mission for you, listening right now, is to learn how to completely shift your approach.
Yeah.
We want to move you from attention grabbing to trust building.
Which is a huge shift.
It is. Because doing this drastically reduces the cognitive load for women, and that creates the actual foundation for genuine consent-led connections.
Yeah.
If you are used to the traditional swipe app mentality, what we're talking about today is going to feel like a completely different paradigm.
It really is. So if we look at the culture we're currently swimming in, there is this glaring, unavoidable issue. The entire ecosystem of modern dating apps has actively conditioned people to reward attention-grabbing behavior. It's an attention economy through and through. The platforms themselves encourage this peacocking, right? Performance signaling. There's this constant pressure to just stand out.
Right, because everyone is essentially told that to succeed, they need to reach for the loudest, flashiest, most extreme version of themselves. And we're all preconditioned to form a view of someone in absolute seconds. But the cultural standard on those traditional apps relies heavily on shock value or displaying status and wealth.
Instead of signaling anything that even vaguely hints at a genuine human connection.
Exactly. It's a very noisy environment. The loudest image might win the algorithm's favor, but it almost always loses the actual human being sitting on the other side of the screen.
Okay, I want to pause and play devil's advocate here for a second.
Sure.
If a guy knows he only has 3 seconds to make an impression before someone swipes away, shouldn't he be a little loud? Like, why is this performance signaling happening so instinctively?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it brings us to what we call the competence disconnect.
Okay.
This happens because men are culturally conditioned from a very young age to signal competence.
Right.
And if we look at traditional masculinity, what does competence look like?
It looks like intense discipline.
Exactly. It looks like absolute confidence, having an edge, being physically strong, and being a provider. So when a man sits down to set up a profile, he instinctively relies on that conditioning. He tries to broadcast, look at me and look at how incredibly impressive I am.
But there's a massive disconnect there,
Oh,
right?
ouch.
Because while he is broadcasting, look how impressive I am, women are actively screening for something entirely different.
Yes.
They aren't looking for a resume of physical achievements. Women are screening for warmth, they're screening for respect, and above all, they are screening for safety.
Precisely. They are looking for emotional regulation, consent-led intent, and maturity.
And this is such an important distinction, and we really want to emphasize that this isn't about shaming anyone.
No, not at all.
We aren't saying that guys who post flashy photos are doing something malicious.
It's simply a cultural gap.
Right.
Well-meaning individuals are defaulting to a legacy script. They're using an outdated playbook that actually sabotages their success because it triggers the exact opposite response of what they intend to create.
So if that's the cultural script, guys are handed this deep-seated need to constantly prove competence and edge. How does that actually look when they open up the app?
It looks like a lot of misfires.
Yeah. What are the specific visual choices they're making that backfire and put women immediately on guard? Let's talk about the infamous gym shot.
Ah, the gym shot. It's a perfect example.
There really is.
Now, the intention behind it is usually quite positive from the man's perspective.
Ah.
He wants to show he's healthy, that he's disciplined, and that he has strong daily routines.
He's put in the work.
Right. He's proud of his body. But the reality of how that photo lands is vastly different from his intention.
I can already hear some of our listeners pushing back on this, though. Like, if a guy spends 10 hours a week in the gym and is genuinely proud of his hard work, isn't he just sharing his authentic hobby? Why is that automatically viewed as a red flag?
It's not that fitness itself is a red flag. It's about the context and the energy of the delivery.
Okay, unpack that.
Imagine you're scrolling and you see 5 mirror selfies in a row. By the 6th one, you're not thinking about his health or his dedication.
No, you're thinking about the bathroom lighting he had to set up.
Exactly. It reads to the viewer as validation seeking. It feels incredibly self-focused, body first, and quite frankly, if it's a shirtless bathroom mirror selfie with water spots on the glass, it signals very low effort.
Oh, the water spot. I know exactly what you mean. It carries a totally transactional vibe.
It essentially screams, I am prioritizing the physical over the emotional.
Yeah.
It takes the viewer out of the possibility of connection and puts them in the audience of a performance.
That makes total sense. It changes the whole dynamic of the interaction before a single word is even exchanged. And then, of course, there's the motorbike or the sunglasses shot.
Another classic.
A guy posts a picture leaning on a motorcycle wearing dark aviators. In his head, he's thinking, I look adventurous. I look confident. I clearly have an exciting life outside of the office.
But what we are actually seeing is that it often reads as extreme risk-taking or highly performative masculinity.
Yeah.
And practically speaking, it is completely evasive. If a helmet or sunglasses are hiding your eyes and your face, you aren't being transparent. You are hiding.
Right. There's nothing quite like the cognitive dissonance of trying to assess if a man is emotionally available and safe while he's staring at you through pitch black aviators, straddling a Harley like he's an extra in a Michael Bay movie.
That's exactly it. You are trying to signal an edge, but what the other person actually feels is a complete lack of openness.
And that evasiveness creates friction.
Always. Now, beyond those well-intentioned misfires, we have to mention the absolute red flags.
The non-negotiables.
Yes. These are the things that should just never, ever be on a profile, especially in a space that values respect and sovereignty.
We're talking about middle fingers directed at the camera.
Any sort of aggressive alpha posturing?
Absolutely no photos with weapons.
Never. And we also see a lot of nightclub-only photos, which are particularly problematic.
Because of the energy.
Exactly. Think about the environment. It's usually low light. There is a distinctly drunk or chaotic energy. And usually, you can barely see the person's face clearly.
And if a profile is just a continuous string of group photos, that is a huge misfire.
Do not make women play detective to figure out which one you are in a lineup of 5 guys with the exact same haircut. It's exhausting.
It really is. And that perfectly brings us to this incredibly vital concept of the credibility gap and cognitive load.
Yes.
This is something everyone navigating modern dating needs to understand. We're talking about signal quality.
Right. And what's fascinating here is that signal quality is not about assessing hotness.
No.
It is not a superficial aesthetic judgment about whether your jawline is sharp enough. It is entirely about evaluating emotional maturity and respect.
Yeah.
When a profile leads with bravado, performance, and those aggressive hardman poses, it creates a massive credibility gap.
Because even if a man has done the internal work on himself, even if he goes to therapy every week, deeply understands boundaries, and is genuinely a kind, safe person, if his photos scream legacy dating app culture, his digital profile directly contradicts his actual character.
Precisely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, think about the cognitive load this places on women.
Let's talk about that.
Cognitive load is the mental effort and energy required to process information. When a woman sees a bravado-filled profile, her cognitive load spikes aggressively.
Keep that picture for us, because I think cognitive load can sound a bit clinical. What does that actually look like in practice?
Picture a woman sitting on her couch after a 9-hour workday.
She is exhausted.
She is. She opens an app hoping to find a genuine connection. When she lands on a profile full of bravado and hidden faces, she now has to actively decode that aggression to figure out if the person is safe.
She has to solve a riddle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She has to wonder, is this just a guy who made a bad cliché photo choice? Or is this guy actually aggressive and potentially dangerous?
Yeah.
She shouldn't have to do that exhausting mental math.
In a space where women are sovereign, like the Blossom Society, the goal is to reduce that cognitive load entirely so she can make an informed choice quickly, comfortably, and safely.
And it's not just the visual misfires that cause this spike in cognitive load either. The captions and the bios often mirror these exact same visual pitfalls.
Oh, absolutely.
We see so many aggressive or weirdly defensive
You
captions.
see them everywhere, right? Things like, no drama, here for fun, prove you're real. Or the absolute classic, I'm an alpha.
There's such a massive difference in tone between what guys think they are saying and what is actually being heard.
Completely.
When you write no drama on your profile, you aren't signaling that you are a peaceful person. You are projecting an energy of intimidation.
Yes.
You are practically daring someone to engage, or you are assuming the absolute worst of them before they even have a chance to say hello. It projects a combative, exhausted energy rather than a welcoming one.
It is the textual equivalent of that crossed arms, unsmiling hardband photo.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it.
It tells the reader that you are defensive, easily irritated, and likely lacking in your own emotional regulation. It completely destroys your signal quality right out of the gate.
So we've taken a hard look at the culture, and we've audited the behavior and the misfires. Let's get to the most important part, auditing the solution.
Let's do it.
How do we actually fix this? What is the standard we should be aiming for?
The core philosophy, the foundational rule of what we teach at the Blossom Society is this: your photos aren't there to prove you're impressive. They're there to help a woman feel safe enough to say hello.
That is the entire paradigm shift.
It is. We are operating in a women are sovereign space. That means education and demonstrating safety comes before you get access to anyone's time or energy.
Right.
Profiles must visibly, legibly signal warmth, respect, and consent-led intent.
Safe enough to say hello. It really changes the entire goal of building a profile.
Completely.
To help you achieve this, there is a very practical, immediate tool you can use. We call it the first 2 seconds test. Before you post any photo, before you even hit upload, you need to pause and ask yourself one simple question. When she sees this, I want her to feel.
And you want to aim for feelings like safe, relaxed, respected, curious, amused, or warmly welcomed.
Notice that impressed is not on that list.
Impressed is not on the list. Intimidated is certainly not on that list.
Right.
If a photo makes you look incredibly impressive, let's say you're standing on top of a treacherous mountain you just conquered, but your face is covered in snow gear and you look intense, it might look objectively cool.
Sure.
But if it doesn't make her feel safe and warmly invited into your life, it is actually working against you in this context.
So let's get really granular with this and build a profile that passes that test. We recommend a very specific, practical framework for a successful trust-building profile.
The 5-photo stack.
Yes, the 5-photo stack. If you follow this, you completely change your signal quality overnight. Let's walk through the stack. Photo number 1, the clear face shot. What are the rules here? Because a floating head isn't going to cut it right.
No floating heads, no extreme close-ups, and no looking down at the camera. This is your foundation.
Okay.
It needs to be at eye level, in soft, good light, with absolutely no sunglasses and no harsh, intimidating angles.
So it's about transparency.
Purely about transparency. It is you looking back at the camera with approachable confidence, meaning a calm posture and a natural, relaxed smile. It simply says, here I am. I have nothing to hide.
Okay, moving on to photo number 2. Full body, clothed.
Yes. And I have to stress this, fully clothed is the key word here.
I know, it's a little sad that we have to explicitly clarify that, but yes, clothed.
It really is, but it's necessary. This needs to be an honest, relaxed photo in natural light. Absolutely no hard man poses.
No flexing in a bathroom mirror.
Exactly. Just a clear, honest representation of how you exist in the physical world. This builds immense trust because it completely removes the mystery and any underlying suspicion that you are trying to obscure reality or hide something.
Perfect. Photo number 3 is what we call doing life.
This is all about providing real-world context. We want a photo of you just existing in your element, having a coffee at a cafe, cooking a meal in your kitchen, hiking a normal trail, flipping through records, or looking through a bookstore.
It shows that you have a stable, enjoyable life that isn't chaotic or overly performative.
Right. It gives a glimpse into your everyday reality and signals that you are a grounded individual.
Next up, photo number 4, warm social proof.
This means a photo of you at an event, a dinner, or just hanging out with friends.
And your friends can absolutely be blurred out or cropped slightly to protect their privacy, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, that shows great boundaries. The purpose of this photo isn't to show off your friend group's high status. It's to prove that you are socially safe.
Yeah.
It shows that other people enjoy your company, that you aren't an isolated lone wolf, and that you can exist harmoniously in a social setting.
Finally, rounded out with photo number 5, values and hobby with context.
This is where you get to showcase what you actually enjoy and, more importantly, why you enjoy it. It could be a photo of you volunteering, engaging in a creative pursuit, like painting or playing an instrument or immersed in a passion project. It is about showing depth, not status.
Yeah, it's an invitation.
Exactly. It is an invitation for her curiosity and a fantastic conversation starter that is rooted in something deeply meaningful to you, rather than just how much you can laugh.
When you stack those 5 photos together, transparency, reality, everyday context, social safety, and genuine depth, you are broadcasting an incredibly powerful green flag.
You really are.
You are signaling approachable confidence, emotional regulation, and deep respect for the person viewing it. There is no underlying rage, no exhausted prove-it energy, and no objectifying framing.
And just as we upgrade those visual signals, we absolutely must upgrade the textual signals. We need to audit those terrible captions we talked about earlier and swap them out for short, adult, consent-led communication.
Yes. Let's give you some exact adult consent-led swaps for those bad captions, because the words matter just as much as the photos.
They do.
If your immediate instinct is to write no drama, you need to swap that immediately to I communicate early and respectfully.
There's such a massive difference in tone between those two. No drama immediately puts the reader on the defensive, assuming they are the source of conflict.
Right.
Whereas I communicate early and respectfully takes ownership. It takes accountability for your own behavior and sets a high standard for emotional maturity right from the jump.
Here is the next one. Instead of writing here for fun, which is incredibly vague and is almost always interpreted as avoiding responsibility or treating people poorly, use here for connection with clear consent and boundaries.
That swap is incredibly powerful, especially for anyone exploring ethical non-monogamy or just intentional dating.
Absolutely.
It takes all the shady ambiguity out of the word fun and replaces it with crystal clarity and safety. It tells the reader that you understand the rules of respectful engagement and that you value their sovereignty.
Exactly. Okay, here's another very common one. Instead of the demanding, borderline aggressive prove you're real, try swapping that to happy to verify and move at a pace that feels safe.
Look at what that does. It completely shifts the dynamic from a challenge to a warm accommodation. It acknowledges the reality of online interactions. Yes, there are bots and fake profiles, but it prioritizes the other person's comfort, their safety, and their timeline over your own impatience.
And lastly, instead of the incredibly cringeworthy I'm an alpha, you swap that to I'm confident, kind, and accountable.
Because that is what true mature competence actually looks like. It isn't about dominating a room or intimidating a space. It is about holding yourself to a rigorous standard of kindness and personal accountability.
That's beautifully said.
That is the kind of signal quality that actually gets you chosen by someone who is looking for a real, healthy connection.
So if we pull back and look at the bigger picture of everything we've discussed today, why does all of this meticulous auditing of photos and captions actually matter so much?
It matters because by actively replacing performative signaling with approachable confidence and emotional regulation, you aren't just doing a superficial profile makeover. You are taking active, mature responsibility for creating safety.
Yes.
In a space where women are sovereign, this is how men can optimize for success while completely and utterly respecting the boundaries and autonomy of the women they want to meet.
Right.
It proves that the internal work you've done on yourself in therapy or through self-reflection is legibly visible at the very first glance. It aligns your digital footprint with your actual lived character.
It is entirely about closing that credibility gap.
Yeah.
When your photos and your words finally match the respect and maturity you carry in real life, you remove the protective friction that keeps people apart.
Exactly.
Lower that cognitive load, and you replace it with a warm, genuine invitation to connect. Okay, let's distill all of this down into 3 key takeaways for you to put into practice today.
Let's do it.
Number 1, ditch the performance signaling. Gym selfies, hidden faces, and hard man poses might feel like you're showing discipline or edge, but they almost always read as validation seeking. They create unnecessary, exhausting cognitive load for the people viewing them.
Absolutely.
Number 2, focus on the feeling intention. Before presenting yourself, whether in a photo or a caption, use the first 2 seconds test. Ask yourself what you want the other person to feel. Prioritize making them feel safe, relaxed, and respected over making them feel impressed or intimidated.
Spot on.
And number 3, adopt the 5-photo stack mindset. Lead with transparency, real-world context, and adult communication that explicitly values consent and emotional maturity. Let your profile be an undeniable green flag of approachable confidence.
And before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought to chew on. We've been talking entirely about dating platforms today, but think about how this concept of signal quality extends far beyond the apps.
That's a great point.
How often in our daily lives, in our corporate meetings, in our friendships, or on our broader social media accounts, do we accidentally broadcast, look at my status, or look how ruthlessly competent I am, when what we actually crave and what the people around us actually need from us is the quiet, regulating signal of, you are safe with me?
That is such a profound way to look at it. It really is about how we move through the entire world, not just how we swipe.
Exactly.
Thanks for listening to the Connection Audit, where we hopefully help you with the skills, standards, and the courage, to be honest.
And our only ask is if you know one person who you feel would benefit from our conversation, please mention the Connection Audit and point them in our direction.
Until next time, less scrolling, more soul.